bringing two things over from last week. I do have the, oh, I've already forgotten it. So this book is the sequel to The Ravens by these authors. I don't know why I said that, because obviously it's going to be by the same authors. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with week 2 of the Magical Readathon. So, this week is starting off actually not too bad. So as you can see, I'm working from home today. It is already Tuesday. I very much did not end last week when I expected to. But I thought I'd go ahead and start this week. So I'm only really bringing two things over from last week. I do have the, oh, I've already forgotten it. I do have the Secret Society of Witches that I started last week. This is an arc that I've got. It's in for the prompt of Start a Book with a Drink, which I did last week. And it's on my Kindle. I've only read one chapter. Loved it so far, but I've only read one chapter. So hoping to make some more progress on that. And then I did start the Magic Misfits, the third book in the series, The Minor Third, last week. I think I started it yesterday, so I think I started it Tuesday. And I've only made it 5 chapters in. I'm about 50 pages in, so like really not too much. And I've noticed with these books, the plot is just kind of okay until about the halfway point, and then we get interesting. So I have this on audiobook, so I will be listening to this. This one doesn't fill any required prompts, nor does it fill anything from my personal TBR. I just really apparently wanted to read it. But this does fit the prompt of the third one, the D of astronomy, and that is multiple people on the cover, which again, I don't have the cover, but it's got the entire crew on it, so that's like 6 people on the cover. Enjoying it so far. Not really a whole lot of thoughts yet, but things are starting. I do love these characters, so I always love going back into this world, and like just the way that like Neil Patrick Harris creates these books I think is so fun, and he's part of the audiobook all the time, and like some of the illustrations are just so pretty. So there's just a lot happening here that I enjoy. So this one is just kind of, I'm chilling, I'm enjoying it. So I'll come back to you when I have actual thoughts on that. But as far as like my plans for the week, I'm not really sure what I'm feeling. I'm feeling some of like the witchy vibes. I'm feeling some of like maybe the more fall books that I put on this TBR, just because like I started that arc book and have really kind of enjoyed it so far. So I'm feeling that. So like maybe I'll pick up the Monarchs, which is kind of like a soft, dark light academia kind of book. It gives me kind of the witchy vibes. I've also got Ashante, which is kind of witchy vibes in like the time of the French Revolution. So I've got some witchy things that I can read. So I'm not really sure what we're gonna start. It'll just kind of depend on what I'm feeling, you know. But I thought I'd go ahead and start this video. I have not really crazy plans. I mean, like I said, I'm working from home today. And then this week is my husband's birthday, so for this weekend we'll go up and see his family, just kind of like hang out, go to dinner, nothing crazy. So I'm not sure what exciting things you're gonna see, but I'm hoping to make a lot of progress this week, because like I did make some progress last week. I got 2 books done, but I didn't make a lot of progress until like the end or the beginning of this week, which was supposed to be the start of this vlog. So really, it's all over the place. So we'll see what happens. Maybe lots of reading will get done. We can hope. But yeah, that's my plan for the week. Stay tuned. I'm gonna sit at home and hang out and start some work and maybe have an audiobook on. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hello. It's that thing again, which I did last week, which is where I didn't really vlog much, and I've come here many days later than I anticipated to bring you updates. But I do have some updates, because in the course of this week-ish, I was able to finish 2 books and make some pretty decent progress in a third. However, the 2 books that I finished were not required for either my TBR nor my required career, but I enjoyed them, so that's what works. So I'm going to talk about them together because they're part of the same series, and that is 3 and 4 of the Magic Misfit series by Neil Patrick Harris. So I came into this week having just started this one, and I made a pretty decent progress throughout the week, and I finished it this weekend, and the ending was surprising, and so I was like, must continue. Therefore, I did pick up the 4th one. It's super shiny. I do apologize. But this is the final 2 books in the series, and they fit the prompts of this one was for the astronomy prompt, which was multiple people on the cover, as you can see, lots of people. And then this one I did for, what prompt was that one? For Art of Illusion, which was to read a book you don't know much about. Because by the time I'd gotten to these 2, I stopped reading what they're about. I just knew that it kind of like continued on the story. I knew what characters they were about, but I didn't actually know like what the specific story was, because at that point I was already hooked. So I'm not sure how much I told you when I started this vlog, but this series basically follows this group of 6 kids who all do kind of different forms of sleight of hand magic. We've got one kid who does cards, we've got an illusionist, we have like a lockpick, so like someone who can get out of straitjackets and stuff like that. We have a guy right there in the middle who can play music and like is levitation. You've got these twins who are really good at like kind of funny, goofy kinds of stuff. So things like that. And so each of these books in the series follows a different character's point of view. So this series really takes off when one of our main characters, Carter, basically comes to the town of Mineral Wells and creates this little group of friends all about magic. They call themselves the Magic Misfits, and they end up, there's like a big bad guy that's out to get them. And so it's the series as that continues. I love these books for many, many different reasons. I talk about them every time I read these books, but like basically in these books you have really fun vibes. You do have all of the sleight of hand magic, like I mentioned. There are sections on how to. So throughout all of the books, they teach you specific tricks throughout this book with like detailed illustrations, so that you as the reader can do these sleight of hand things. They're very simple stuff to kind of start off your training. Most of them are card tricks. And it's just kind of like, if you're interested in that kind of magic, it kind of gives you the basics. These are middle grade books. I don't think I said that, but these are middle grade books, and I really enjoyed them. You really get Neil Patrick Harris's like humor in his writing, which I really enjoy. I will say, and I don't know if it's because like the simplicity of the writing, but these do give me the like series of unfortunate events vibes, only with like the main characters being like a hodgepodge group of kids, although these stories are significantly happier than Series of Unfortunate Events. Hint the title. But there's just something about these books that really gives me that vibe, and I'm not sure what it is, but there's something there. There's really not much I can say about these, considering that they are the 3rd and the 4th in the series. It wrapped up beautifully. I did enjoy how it ended. I would say overall my favorites in the series are the 1st one and the last one. Each of them in the middle kind of like you start the book and then about halfway through you really get invested, whereas the fourth one I was invested the entire time. There's beautiful illustrations in all of these books. It's just a really fun, cozy time as far as like what's going on. It is a mystery in all of these books, so trying to figure stuff out. The last book specifically does tackle some, like, maybe not tackle, but does mention some darker things that maybe you as like an older reader might pick up on versus a younger reader, but like there's definitely some stuff that is talked about in here about like secrets and what's a good secret and what's a bad secret and stuff like that. So it does get darker as the series progresses, but it's still a very good series. I still really enjoyed it. I gave both of these 4.5 stars, but like I said, I think the fourth one would be a little bit higher. I mean, they're still the same rating, but like I liked the fourth one more. I enjoyed it more. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed them. They're super fun, cozy books that you can easily get through. And like I was able to finish this one in almost a day. So I could have if I had really tried, but I didn't fully try. But like they're very easy to get through. And if you can get the audiobooks, I recommend them because they're each by a different narrator because each book is narrated or like from the perspective of a different kid. But you have also got Neil Patrick Harris, who does narrate the first book, but he comes back and he does all of the like intro bits because there are intro chapters that kind of tell you how to read this book is really how it's phrased. But every single one is like introduces you to everything and how to read this book and like really all the fun stuff. Plus like there's little hints throughout the book and all the chapter heads as far as like those mean something. There's like a key in the back of the book. So there's just a lot of extra material and extra fun with these and I really enjoyed it. So I'm super glad that I finished this series. I mean, I'm sad to see these characters go because I did fall for them, but it was a lot of fun and I'm glad that like I have like officially finished a series because I'm not good at that. So I finished both of these for prompts that were not required, but were things that I enjoyed. I mean, I put the Magic Misfits book on my TBR as like my middle grade read for the month because I do try to do at least one of those. I think this month I might end up doing 3. We'll see. But because I enjoyed the third one so much, I just needed to continue. So those are the 2 that I finished, but then I also have been making pretty good progress in the Monarchs by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page. I am almost 100 pages into this book, which according to Goodreads is just about 20% of the way through. I started it yesterday, just barely. Was it yesterday or was it the day before? I think it was this weekend. I just barely started it, and now I'm like really invested in it. So this book is the sequel to The Ravens by these authors. I don't know why I said that, because obviously it's going to be by the same authors, but this is a duology, so it's done after the second one as of right now. I don't think there's anything planned, which feels appropriate, because like the first one had an ending, so I'm excited to see where we go from here. But the idea behind this world is that it takes place on a college campus and it follows this sorority who is nicknamed the Ravens. And the idea behind the sorority is that they are super, what's the word I'm looking for, but picky, I guess, about the people who are inducted into it. So like very few people every year actually get to become a sister in the sorority. So they're thought as like top tier, everyone wants to be part of them, but the real reason behind the kind of like pickiness of them is that this is actually a coven and every single girl who's in the sorority is a witch. So you're only allowed to be in this coven if you're a witch. And so, or in this sorority if you're a witch. So like, if you're in the coven, you know why you're there, but if you're not, then you just think that they're like super snobby and like only let certain people in. So after the events of the first book, we kind of kick off almost immediately. This takes place in the second half of the same semester, and we follow our 2 main characters, Scarlet and Vivi. And so in the first book, Scarlet is Vivi's big, and she is being trained to become the president of this sorority, and she and Vivi do not get along at all. Vivi doesn't really know she has magic until she starts joining the sorority and actually like discovers this, and all of the magic in this world is very, very witchy. It's all based on like tarot decks and cards, and there's like 3 suits, and each suit is like a different set of powers, and so like you can do very simple spells, and it's all about like chanting, and there's herbs and like all of that kind of like nature stuff. So like things happened in the first book, and this is the repercussions from that. And then we also have a rival sorority who is trying to take over their popularity for lack of a better word, on campus, but it's much darker than that. There's other stuff that's going on. And like the prologue of this book has me questioning a lot of things. But I was wondering why it was called The Monarchs, and I've gotten to a point where I now understand, because the alumni from the sorority are called the Monarchs. So if you're in the sorority, you're called the Ravens, like that's your place, but once you leave the sorority, you are considered part of the Monarchs, and that's just like the general group term for alumni, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize that. But we've got the same two characters. It's still from the point of view of Scarlet and Vivi. It goes back and forth from their points of view, and I don't really want to tell you anything about this book because it hardcore spoils the first book, but I fell in love with these characters. It gave me all of the fun witchy vibes. This is definitely what I would, I mean, I've never read dark academia, but to me this is light academia because like it's not a lot, like there's not a lot of darkness to it, but it is in a school setting. It does have those witchy vibes, especially in the first book when you've got this group of freshmen who is learning about their magic and like trying to figure out spells and studying and, you know, going through that process. So I'm very excited to see where we go. So far loving it. I just really today got into it. I was only a few chapters into it before today, and then I read a bunch or listened to a bunch on my way home and really got into it. So I'm hoping for good things as we continue because I adored the first book. It really just like took me heart and soul. And to this day, I know I said it all the time, but to this day, I'm not even sure like what specifically about the story is why I loved it so much, but there's just a lot about it and the characters, and there's just a lot of feelings tied to that one. I gave it 5 stars. So I'm hoping the sequel is just as good, if not almost as good. But hopefully we will continue this. Well, we will continue this, but hopefully we'll finish this in next week's vlog. This one, I forgot to tell you what this was for. This is actually for a legit prompt. Like it's for one of my TBR prompts as well as a required reading prompt. So this is for shapeshifting, and this is wings on the cover. So obviously with our butterflies there, we've got monarchs all over the cover as well as on the back. So wings everywhere. But that's what this one is in for, and it's actually a required book. So finally getting around to those, even though I have not been doing that for the first 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. But that's it. Those are kind of my updates for now. So I thought I'd go ahead and kind of close out this vlog. I read 2 books, both got 4.5 stars, making some good progress, and a third one that I'm really enjoying. So I'm excited for next week. I am feeling the reading mood, so we'll see if that continues. It did not do so last week. I was not very good at like actually continuing to read the books that I wanted to. But we'll see. I don't have many plans for next week, so hopefully lots of reading will get done. But stay tuned for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Let me know if you're participating in the readathon, how your reading is doing. I think we're halfway through the month at this point, so are you doing better at your reading than I? Let me know, or just let me know kind of what you're currently reading. If you're not participating in the readathon, no shame. Let me know what your current read is. I would love to know what everyone is enjoying in the moment. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video.